What's up everyone? My name is Caleb Bronco. I'm a photographer and filmmaker based here in South Florida. And today, I thought it might be kind of fun if I showed you how I build my RED Komodo rig. So why don't we get into it? The genre of rig building videos has become about as addicting for me as the what's in my camera bag videos. I absolutely love watching these. I could just sit and watch these for hours on how different people build different cameras for different uses. Blows my mind. People are so creative and there's so many things that people do to their rigs that I would never have even thought of. And I think that's really cool. This is a handheld rig that I have built for this RED Komodo, and there's not one particular company that I've gotten all of the pieces from. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of Condor Blue, Tilta, and small rig, just based on which pieces fit the build the best. Because none of those three had everything that I needed. They rarely ever do. So keep that in mind, but I'll go through all the parts as we go through it. So here we have the RED Komodo. This is how it sits in the case. We have the outrigger handle on the side, which is one of the most useful accessories for the Komodo that I have seen yet. It's made by RED, but it has a start and stop button on the top. So it makes it super nice to just get the shot whenever you need to. And there's no cables, there's nothing you gotta like plug in and charge. So really enjoy having the outrigger handle on this build. And then on that, we have a Condor Blue cage over the rest of the camera. We have the side piece, we have the top piece that I have mounted on top of the outrigger handle. So I have the little NATO rail. We have the base plate, and then I did not put the other side plate on because it was way too tight with the handle and I kept scraping my thumb when I went in there. I guess the logical next step is to put the base plate with the rods on. This is not the base plate from Condor Blue that comes with the kit. This is actually a separate one that I bought from Small Rig. The base plate from Condor Blue uses an airy dovetail, and I don't have anything that uses an airy dovetail, whereas this Small Rig one uses a Manfrotto style plate, which I have for everything. It's super easy to pop on. You just take it and then just slide it in, lock it down, boom, look at that. Now you've got a base plate on your RED Komodo with some rods. And these are the rods on here are the ones that came with the Condor Blue kit. I kind of like this black and silver vibe that we got going for this whole thing. Next, I usually put the lens on, and I usually use EF glass, but it's an RF mount, so we're gonna need an adapter. And for this, I use the Canon one, the RF to EF with the drop-in variable ND filter, because just makes it super easy to change your exposure on the fly. So let's pop this on so we can pop our lens on. It's as easy as that. And then the lens that I use on this camera, most of the time, I use whatever I need for but most of the time it is the Sigma 18-35 f1.8. This thing is like a perfect pairing for the RED Komodo. So the next thing that I like to do is I like to put on the follow focus system, just while it's there and out in the open. And the follow focus that I use at the moment is the Small Rig little follow focus. The next piece that I will put on is the top handle. And this top handle is one of the main reasons that I got the Condor Blue cage for the RED Komodo. And it's because you can start and stop the camera with this little button here at the top. Like any other NATO top handle, it just slides on like that. And then you just lock it down, and then there you go. Now you've got a top handle for your RED Komodo. The next piece that I like to add is the monitor. And the monitor that I've gone with is the Portkeys BM5WR. It will wirelessly control the Komodo. And then this thing just super easily slots into, oh, yeah, I've got a monitor mount on the front of the handle, also from Condor Blue. This just stays attached to the handle. I guess now we should probably start putting stuff on the back of the camera. My setup of choice for powering the camera is I like to use a V-mount system or whatnot that sits on the back. Because then I can power everything from one battery and only have to change out one battery. So first we're gonna need one of the Canon BP batteries. These are the red ones, just because bought it with the camera. And you just slot this into the left one, like that. Then for the other one, I have this Tilta BP dummy battery that they came out with especially for the RED Komodo. And I love it. Every other V-mount solution that I've seen for the RED Komodo, it takes up both of those BP slots. So then you lose the ability to hot swap the RED Komodo, which I think is a huge feature. This little dummy battery lets you swap out V-mount batteries without having to power down the camera, which is super helpful. So we just take this little thing. This thing is, I don't know if it's just mine or if I haven't broken it in yet. It is super tight to get into that slot. And then you might be saying, but you have nowhere to put the V-mount. You're right. That's why I have this Tilta V-mount plate. By the way, everything will be listed, like linked down in the description if you want any of these pieces. And this plate is kind of interesting. Normally it's mounted with the rails coming out this way, so the battery sits flat. But I hate that. So what I did is I bought a small rig cheese plate and then a 15mm rod thing at the bottom, and you just screw that straight onto the back of it, and then now it's an upright one. There's probably a much easier way that I could have done this, or a different item that I could have bought, but I've heard really good things about this Tilta V-mount plate, so I wanted to go with this. And it has a bunch of different ports all over it. Like you've got 2 D-taps and then 3 DC outs, which is really nice. Anyway though, you just take this, slide it on the back, just get that nice and close there. It keeps it all nice and tight. And then just like that, you've got a V-mount plate on the back of your camera, and it doesn't interfere with anything. And you can still, even if you wanted to, you could still take this battery out. And then with this little cable here, I just thread it down and around, and then it just plugs right into the side here. And then now for the V-mount battery, this is a Indy Pro Micro Series. It's a 98 watt hour. Right now, this is the only V-mount battery that I have. So then we just take that, and there you go. And now it's balanced. One gripe I have though with this V-mount plate is there's no way to turn off the plate. So as you can see, this little light's on. Which means it's basically, even if the camera's not on or the monitor's not on, it's still constantly drawing a little bit of power from that battery. Next thing that I will put on, we have this little side handle from Small Rig. This thing's kind of cool because it's universal. You can put it on either side of the rig. And it has a few mounting ports up top and also a cold shoe. And then this just slides onto the NATO rail on the side of the cage. And there you go. Now you have a two-handed setup plus a top handle. The next thing I think we should put on is the matte box. The matte box that I use at the moment is the new one from Small Rig. It's their new mini matte box, which is super light, kind of cool, little carbon fiber here at the front. And I like this a lot because it has these 4x5 trays in here. So you can put different 4x5 filters in here, which is kind of nice. And it just takes the standard 4x5 ones. One issue I do have with this matte box though, is if you have 2 filters stacked in here, like it says you can put in here, and you can, the top flag won't close. It'll just sit like that, which is extremely annoying. It comes with a bunch of these different adapter rings. I think the largest size of this thing, or I guess the size that this matte box fits natively, is a 95 millimeters. So if you have a lens with a 95 millimeter outer diameter, you won't even need these rings. It'll just slot right on the front. I believe the Vazen anamorphic lenses have a 95 millimeter front. So this would probably be great for that. Slap it right on the front. Boom. And then you have a little front thing on here. Then we'll take our matte box, slide it on, line it up, and there you have a matte box on your RED Komodo. And matte boxes are very important pieces of equipment. They have a very important role to play, but they also just make your camera look so freaking cool, don't they? Like you roll up to a shoot with a matte box on your camera, everyone's just like, oh, this guy knows what he's doing. And most of the time we don't know what we're doing. So a little bit of words of encouragement to potential clients, I guess. Please hire me. Something that I really like about this matte box is whatever step-up ring you put to put the matte box on, there are the same size threads are on the inside here. So you could still put your like circular polarizers or your variable ND filters. You could still screw those into the front here, which I think is really helpful. This is pretty much the setup here. We just have to power it. So for the monitor, we have the little cable from Portkeys, and I'll slot this right into the side here. And then I have cable ties, like little cable screw-ins. I need to figure out a setup for those because I don't have anything yet, but we're working on it. It'll be okay. But for now, I just take this, wrap it around the handle a few times, and then you just plug it right into the back of the monitor. There you go. Now you have now the monitor is being powered from the V-mount battery, which is super handy because then you don't have a battery sitting on the back of here that you have to worry about, and then you have this battery sitting on the back of here that you have to worry about for the camera. It's nice just to have one singular battery that powers everything. Next we have the SDI cable, and I'll usually wrap this thing under the side handle here just to keep it out of the way. I like having coiled cables if I can, just so that it keeps the mess to a minimum. And then we'll just plug this into there, and there you go. And pretty much just like that, this is the RED Komodo rig in a nutshell. I'm super happy with the way that this build came out. It looks like a monster. Really enjoy this thing. Be sitting here pulling focus. I think it's a pretty fun setup. It's pretty heavy. I really need to invest into a easy rig for those longer shoot days, because I went out shooting with this thing for like 30 minutes and I wanted to die. Anyway, this is the setup that I have for the Komodo. Very stoked with the way that this build came out. So what do you think about this RED Komodo build? Do you like it? Do you hate it? What would you have done differently? That I would love to hear. Please leave those down in the comments. I would absolutely love to read those. I'm always interested on how other people build their cameras for their specific jobs. I find that incredibly interesting. I'm constantly watching those videos and polling ideas. Anyway, guys, that is gonna do it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. It greatly helps the channel grow. And with that, I will see you in the next one.